want to, we can leave your friends behind. Cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. I said, we can go where we want to, place where they will never find. And we can act like we come from out of this world, leave the real one far behind. We can dance. We can dance. We can go when we want to, the night is young and so am I. And we can dress real neat from our hats to our feet and surprise them with the victory cry. I said, we can act if we want to, if we don't, nobody will. And you can act real rude and totally removed, and I can act like an imbecile. Say, we can dance, everything's under control. We can dance, doing it wall to wall. We can dance, everybody look at your hands. We can dance, everybody's taking a chance. Who's to say to dance? Yes, to say to dance. Yes, to say to dance. Yes, to say to dance.
We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. Get off this fucking neck. Let me shoot you. Can't fucking breathe. So let me shoot you. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joke, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joke channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback feels like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a glorious panel here with me to break down the latest shit talking and shenanigans and get into all the pervasive punchy kicky goodness you need to keep your life complete. But before we get into the all fun and fuckery evening we have got lined up ahead of us, first and foremost, how the hell are you gentlemen doing this fine evening?
Doing pretty fucking good. Glad to, for the first time in a long time, right, have on the fucking booty hog. Yeah, how you doing, sir? I'm doing good. It's good. You happy to be here?
Glad to have you back, brother. Glad to have you back.
Nice to see a familiar face that we haven't seen in a long time around here. So fucking excited about it, especially being as I know the secret that's coming up.
Oh, that being said, again, we are not doing a recap show this season. If you would like to know the craziness that happened during last week's card, you can click over on the shorts tab here on YouTube. I know they have done a little switcheroo and changed the page up. You actually have to click for live shows, click for individual videos, click for shorts and posts, which also brings me to the secondary point before we get into the news this evening. They have officially allowed small channels like ours access to the community tab. Generally speaking, YouTube requires you to have at least 500 subscribers, which we are closing in on, but not quite to yet. They have since unlocked the community tab for all creators now, so we have officially got our poll up, our very first poll on the YouTube community tab. Go over to I'm No Joe on YouTube. It's youtube.com/@ImNoJoe. It's fucking weird, but that's how they do it. You will see the community tab. Click on it. There's a fucking post right there. Share it with your fucking friends. Tell all your buddies. We're getting access to all the cool toys that usually the big kids only have. So fun times ahead. That being said, we like to start things off around here with a little bit of news and recent events, kind of the latest, most important things that have come down the pipeline and the biggest, most relevant fight news that has been shaken loose of the MMA tree while we were gone from you fine folks. So first and foremost, the only little bit of a kind of recap-ish touchback bit of news I will say, for those of you who did not see, though his services were not required last weekend, Anthony Smith showed up as the backup fight for the title last weekend and missed weight. Showed up the first time at 209, subsequently came back naked with the fucking towel and hands up, nothing to show for it, and still couldn't get lower than 206.5, meaning he still would not have been eligible to fight for the title had his services actually been needed. Granted, he said he went down to Brazil needing to cut way more weight than he usually had, made no excuse for the weight cut not happening, said that he owns it. It was his fault and he'll live up for it because he is known for giving fighters who miss weight lots of shit. And he said there's going to be plenty coming my way and I cannot dodge it. I have no choice but to eat it. But I guarantee you, I will be the first person on the scale next time and I will not miss weight again. So we will see. But I thought that was worth fucking mentioning from a dude who has been very, very vocal about weight missers in the past. And then look who shows up, quote unquote, on vacation in Brazil and actually fucked himself out of a possible fucking show check for being the backup of the easiest job he ever could have been given.
You know what? I'm a little pissed at him for it, but on the other side of it, he came out, he's like, I'm not going to make excuses. I screwed the pooch. This is my fault. And I know damn well I'm more harsh than anybody out there on this, and I'm going to continue to be.
He's gonna grind himself over it for sure.
Says, and I'm also gonna grind. Yeah, he said I'm also gonna be harsh on myself because you're supposed to be professional, and the only part of this job that is hard, other than fighting, is making weight. So I mean, he called himself out like a true fucking gentleman, but on the same side, dude, practice what you preach, man. Practice what you preach.
Yeah.
If he is not now, if in his next outing he is not first on the scale, all that shit that he said goes out the window. He better be first on the scale and on fucking point.
Yeah,
if that happens, I will wash all of that away just because
agree.
he does what he says he's going to do. If he doesn't, though, then we got issues.
This is quite literally his credibility's moment to shit or get off the pot. Either
Yeah.
Anthony Smith shows that he's a man of his word and he does what he said he was going to do and holds himself to that standard, or we see that he really is just kind of all talk and he's just here for the paychecks at this point, in which case that's cool, do you, but that also means that your word doesn't really mean shit anymore other than just another fucking flapping head doing this with a UFC label on the microphone. So we'll see. I hope he proves us wrong, but at this point you're gonna have to earn my fucking trust back, dude. Fuck that. Like, for a guy who's been the spearhead of this shit talking campaigns for so many fucking people in the past who miss weight, to then turn around, and he talked about it on an episode of the podcast with Bisping before he left. He said going out there, not only was he going down there later than he originally planned, but he was going down there heavier than he originally planned to because of everything else getting moved around. So he was behind the 8 ball from the get-go, and it kind of feels like their plan was real loosey-goosey from the jump. So like, I can't really be too sympathetic in this situation. I hope he proves us wrong, genuinely, but
No, and I'm wondering if it was their plan on his side or if the UFC did something to fuck his plans up or some shit like that. Which,
I mean,
that's a possibility because the UFC does some skady shit, but still.
yeah, I'm not going to say that's outside of the realm of things the UFC would do, but I also don't think the UFC is going to make those fucking steaks look so delicious down there that you can't resist
On
them.
my end, I will say that, it looks bad, obviously, because all the shit that he does give people for missing weight, and then he missed weight. I was sad to see it, more so because, he doesn't get his paycheck and all that shit. It was kind of pointless. But I give him a break on it because the dude's coming off of an injury. And then as well, I listen to him and Michael's podcast every week, and he admitted, like you guys said, he manned up to it. But then there's the other thing. He said the UFC didn't even actually officially tell him he was back up till 2 weeks before the fight. So Jamal Hill and Glover had 6 weeks to train. He had 2 weeks to lose the weight. He still said there's no excuses, and he was still a pound and a half away on the second wave, right? So I mean, he actually came close.
He got
said,
damn close. Yeah,
it's not like he wasn't fucking trying.
Right.
So he did actually work his ass off to try to make the weight still. So yeah, if he owns up to his word, first on the scale in his next fight and makes weight, yeah, there's no problem at all for me. Even if he's not the first on the scale, as long as he makes weight in his next fight, I'm good.
Yeah, long as he shows up on point and we don't have another one of these
from
situations.
What we've heard, he's booked for another fight, and I think they need a true main event for that March 25th card.
Supposedly he's back on it, so that's what
that's all I've heard. He hasn't announced himself who he's fighting. The UFC obviously hasn't. I've not seen anything anywhere. I just know from Anthony's mouth himself for the past 2 weeks he said he's booked for a fight, but he still won't announce it. I feel like it's Jan just because of that. I feel like if they were matching him up against Johnny Walker, it would be announced already.
We would know right away after what happened down there. Yeah, for sure.
So it might be Jan Blachowicz, and if it is, I'm interested in that fight. If Anthony makes the weight, this is going to be a good time. So I'm still a fan of Anthony Smith. That was a tough situation he was put on. Like, even if he had the full 6 weeks, tough situation coming off the injury and everything. I'm going to give him a pass just for that. That's where the sympathy comes from. He broke his fucking ankle and he's coming back from an injury, But there's no excuses another time, obviously. And he just, looks bad. You give everybody shit, you got to expect to take the shit. At least he owned up to the shit.
Right.
Hopefully he bounces back.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I genuinely hope that he proves us all wrong, but at this point, I'm kind of parked in the skeptic parking lot until I am politely given a reason to slide over into just waiting. That being said, though, moving on to something just a little bit more recent than the end of 283. Last weekend, it turns out there was I guess it would be considered a somewhat local event down in the Houston area. A couple of friendly UFC names were making their presence known. UFC newcomer Joseph Homeless Joe Holmes was there supporting a couple of his teammates, and it turns out so was Kevin Holland and a couple of his teammates. And Joseph Holmes went to go upstairs where he had changed clothes while he was helping one of his people warm up earlier, and forgotten a pair of shoes or something, went to go back up and get it. And as he's walking up, who should come walking down the exact flight of stairs but Kevin Holland, who allegedly, I say with air quotes for anyone just listening to this, allegedly Kevin Holland bumped into Joseph Holmes' chest, and when Joseph Holmes looked up, smacked the glasses off his head, pushed him backwards down the stairs, to which Kevin Holland's crew of estimated 6 to 7 N-words, according to Mr. Holmes' report, were waiting to sucker punch, beat, and jump and kick him before security came over and broke things up. The interesting thing about the incident is that if you look across the social media of all parties involved, Kevin Holland does not deny that this event happened, does not deny any account of how these events happened. The only thing that he says about it is, funny, 6 years ago when you and 6 of your friends jumped me, everybody kept quiet, but now when things get evened up, you want to cry about it.
There's.
I mean,
what was that interview Kevin Holland did? Everybody sees all this good shit that he does, but they forget he says, I'm still a hood rat. I'm still a little thug. So,
I like to do hood rat shit with my friends.
Yeah, look, that's that part of, there is a certain type of person in the world that a lot of people forget about because of the way the current climate is. There's still motherfuckers that will punch you in the mouth should you step out of line. Kevin Holland is one of those people. Yes, he will save an old lady getting fucking mugged, but he will also whip your fucking ass if it's due.
Right. Yeah, and the fact that the only response to any of it that Kevin had was, funny that 6 years ago when you and your friends jumped me, everybody kept quiet. And that kind of ended the actual verbalization of what happened on social media for the most part. So from what it seems like, if you scrape the larger picture here for data, Joseph Holmes and his friend might have actually jumped Kevin Holland a couple years back, and he just never said shit about it. And then when the shoe turned around and fell on the other foot, Homeless Joe cried like a bitch. So seems to me all's fucking fair in love and war, and in the terms, or in the eyes of the streets rather, things seem to have washed themselves out.
Well, and that falls into that what goes around comes around thing.
Right? So we will see if anything actually comes of it, but I doubt that anything more gets made officially said about this situation. But
I'm pretty sure that's dead in the water now.
yeah, I thought that was very fucking ironic and definitely worth mentioning as well. That, however, will bring us to our first piece of news about this coming weekend. History being made, one Laura Sanko taking her first turn at the microphone for color commentary. The crew set for the show in Vegas this weekend, that we will talk more about later in the evening, will be John Gooden, one Michael Bisping, and one Laura Sanko. So the international crew, as they are referred to affectionately, stepping up to take the microphone. Laura Sanko, very happy to step up on color commentary for a fight night, hoping to one day sit next to one Joe Rogan on a pay-per-view card. So depending on how this goes, could be a huge moment for sure.
I'm hoping she does well. She knows her shit. She trains, so she knows what she's talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
And I mean, even if, as much as this pains me to say it, when she's commentating on some of the fucking smaller shit that they do, she does a really good fucking job. I mean, she's commentated on what is it, the Contender Series a couple times.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna say. Yeah, I
was gonna
watched
say-
the Contender Series a lot. And she, her and Michael Bisping, worked well together. But I do like Laura Sanko commentating on those fights, and I kind of feel like that's why they're giving her this opportunity. There's a lot of debuts and up and comers on this card. It is a real hang of a card, but the sad aspect of it, I love it. Right, it's her first opportunity in the first woman commentator, but they're screwing her over, just like all these up and coming fighters, which I'll touch on later on my own segment. It's not in South Korea anymore, so why'd we keep the time frame starting so damn late? No one's really gonna stay up till 1, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning to watch all these fights. So as we get into the better fights that people would be more interested in watching, even folks like you guys, and I'm sure you brothers, as much as you love fights, aren't going to be interested in the first handful of fights, really. There's a few on the prelims I know you guys will be looking at, but most of them, like all the road to the UFC finals fights, you don't really care about. You guys probably only know one of them, maybe by name. You don't, so it's bad. It looks bad to me as a hardcore fan of MMA because the UFC continues to make stupid decisions like this. You guys didn't want us to keep it in South Korea, so there's no point in keeping that time slot because then all the American fans aren't going to care. And the prospects aren't going to get the eyes. And Laura Sanko's making her commentary debut, but who's going to watch it? Who's going to get to listen to it? A lot of fans don't even listen to the commentary in the first place. And now you're asking me to stay up till 2 in the damn morning to watch the Derek Lewis and Sergey fight. It's just bad. I feel horrible for her, right? I'm happy as hell for her. At the same time, I feel horrible for her because they're handing her their first opportunity. And yes, if she does well, I damn well want to see her more because you need to give her opportunities where people are actually going to be watching fights. And I'd love to see her actually call a pay-per-view because she does actually know what the hell she's talking about.
Yeah, I think the silver lining to this is that even though, like, I agree 100% with what you said here, the fact that they're putting her on this card that's getting kept so fucking late for no reason is definitely more detriment than it is benefit. But the silver lining, I think, to that is that if something big does happen on this card, and I imagine something is going to happen, there's generally at least one big event on every fucking card. So in the event something big does take place, we can potentially get a good Laura Sanko sound bit during that clip, which we all know then the UFC and then ESPN and SportsCenter and every fucking BT Sports major outlet is going to run in perpetuity, to just blow the fuck out of. So there is that chance that we get that Laura Sanko fucking juicy sound bit attached to the craziness that we potentially got to have.
I'm hoping a couple, maybe even a few real good knockouts. You get her and Michael Bisping, just kind of that Joe Rogan moment.
Yeah,
right there.
I was just going to say, given the Joe Rogan DC interaction style with Laura and Bisping, we could have some real good fucking moments this weekend. So
that's the upside with
potential.
If you normally don't like commentators, Bisping, I like him. He's kind of funny, and they have good chemistry together. Out of the Contender Series, Laura and Michael have pretty good chemistry. It's not like DC and Rogan.
Right. At this point, honestly, I'm genuinely interested in how Laura is going to do. Bisping at this point can go fuck all the way off because he was the commentator for last night's fucking Power Slap League, which I just found out about.
I've seen
So
he's
he
been on
can
that
go
the past
fuck
couple weeks.
himself until he does something character redeeming, in my opinion. Because as I saw the top comment liked over 1,000 fucking times said, "All money ain't good money, motherfucker." Being the company man ain't always what it's fucking cracked out to be. So sometimes you toe that line and you pay more of a fucking price than you get paid for. And this is one of those situations, in my fucking opinion. Bisping can go fuck himself until he does something character redeeming.
Yeah, that's a hot mess. That right there. Because I scrolling through social media and the way that they're pushing that piece of shit, it makes you wonder when you see all of these. Oh God, this is gonna hurt my fucking mouth so much to say this, so goddamn much.
Somebody clip it.
The one and only time that I will ever agree with anything that comes up out of fucking O'Malley's mouth. Why would you go up there and just let somebody of that caliber fucking basically knock you out without even putting up a fight? Why? When Sean O'Malley's dumbass is smart enough to figure that out, there's an obvious problem. And you've got a guy in Bisping who knows the obvious problem because he's been to war, been beat to shit, lost a fucking eye over it. Gets comfortable enough to say, yeah, let me go in here and commentate something where people don't even have the chance to defend themselves. Fucking stupid. Absolutely dumb. To be honest, that is one of those things I'll never understand why they sanction, because you can hit somebody hard enough with an open hand to knock them clean the fuck out, especially if they ain't blocking it.
I get why
the
it's
worst
sanctioned.
part of it for me, I watched the first week of the slap shit. I haven't watched the other 2 weeks since, right? But I follow Moist Critical on YouTube. I like watching him a lot. And apparently, he's gotten a ton of shit from MMA fans because he liked watching slap videos and his streams or whatever shit, and they feel like he kind of riled up Dana White's love for slap fighting because he's just a popular YouTuber. Then him watching the shit, it became a little more popular. No, like the biggest thing that he pointed out though, when people have been giving him this hate, is he doesn't condone any of what the UFC is doing at all either. All the rules in slap fighting, the shit that he actually likes, that he's come to like, the sport of slap fighting, they don't actually make them follow it at all. Like the clubbing and the stepping aspect. Like if you watch any of the clips, even that they're posting, every guy is allowed to get that rotation. Like they're getting full body rotation, hip rotation. Yep. They're hitting them with their entire hand, even the wrist, not the fingers in the front of the palm. You know, they're literally stepping, using their feet to turn and get that extra momentum. And that's why you're seeing all the knockouts, because that's all the UFC cares about. Let's throw every one of them a couple $1,000 and just get a ton of knockouts, huge clips, and try to run this bullshit. And it's disgusting. Out of what I saw the first week, I was like, this is awful. And then seeing a lot of the UFC referees and then doctors being a part of it. Listened to John Anik's podcast and heard him and Ray Longo talking together about it, how they like didn't want to talk bad about a lot of them because they're friends with a lot of those guys, but they kind of lost respect for them. It made them feel a certain kind of way. Like they did point that out. It was the same for me. Like same with Michael Bisping. It's like a slight loss of respect because you should have a little bit of moral ground.
Yep. Even
though you have a job. I understand we all have a job to do. Got to take care of our families, make some damn money, but you got to have some pride and you got to stand on your morals.
Yeah, that money don't mean shit if you sell your fucking soul to get it.
Yeah, then you're just a slave, even if you're getting paid. That's how I look at it. You're a slave.
Yep. Yeah, because Eric Spicely came out. Excuse me, God damn it!
A man chooses and a slave obeys.
Yeah, no, Eric Spicely came out and said that they verbally offered him the opportunity to compete on Power Slap because they were setting it up to be essentially just like the Ultimate Fighter. And the pay structure was $2,000 to show and $2,000 to win, with a 3 quote unquote fight contract, just like Ultimate Fighter style. And at the end of the entire show, the winningest 2 people will make $10,000 and $10,000 for their fucking slap time. So these guys aren't even making a literal percentage of what the basest fucking level entry point UFC fighters are making, and risking way more fucking concussion. Why this is actually being endorsed, I don't understand. How it got sanctioned, I totally get. It's combat sports. Why it's being endorsed the way that it is the part that bothers me so fucking much. So many people think that there is so much genuine ROI in this that they're willing to invest money, is the part that fucking bothers me a lot. That's the sickening part.
My issue with the sanctioning of it is, does anybody remember how hard it was to get the UFC sanctioned? Like, I'm not talking the first UFCs, because those weren't sanctioned events.
Right.
Like, when it became a legitimately sanctioned combat sport, similar to boxing, they had to change a bunch of fucking rule sets.
I remember John McCain sitting behind his fucking microphone talking about human cockfighting. I remember watching those fucking meetings.
Exactly. So they had to show that people could put up a legitimate defense. They couldn't throw certain types of strikes. They couldn't do all of these certain things. The 12-6 elbow, which we all know is fucking garbage elbow anyways.
Yep.
But they went through all of this, but the biggest thing they were looking for is to make sure that it was safe. In as far as a combat sport can be concerned, knowing that somebody can have a legitimate type of defense for whatever is going on. How is it you're going to allow something like this power slap league bullshit where you legitimately have no defense? You literally have to sit there and take it. How does that get sanctioned? What fucking genius in Nevada thought this was a great idea? I'm guessing somebody who had something to do with it was probably Sal D'Amato, because that motherfucker can't judge a fight anyways. So they're like, yeah, sure, this sounds good, because then we don't have to think so much when we're judging this shit.
Less criteria for them to worry about. Yeah. Fuckers. No, I agree. It's fucking ridiculous. That being said, we can get back into the world of actual fucking fights. Unlike all those slappy bitches, come at me, motherfuckers. The world of real fighting, back into the world of UFC. We got a whole smattering of very interesting upcoming pay-per-view fight announcements this last week while we were off here. The first one's here for UFC 285, taking place March 4th in Las Vegas. One of the most interesting lightweight matchups we have seen, in my opinion, in a hot fucking minute here, outside of title conversations, obviously. Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. That's going to be fucking spectacular. And then the piece de resistance to top an already juicy fucking card off. Confirmation, officially contract signed, I's dotted, T's crossed, done deal. The Chevy truck rolls on. Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso for the ladies' belt will officially go down March 4th at UFC 285 as well. So, as if we needed more reason to pay attention to an already good fucking stacked card there's 2 more reasons to get your fucking wallets ready on that one. But March in the UFC is the month that keeps on giving for some reason. Even though we only got 2 cards in January, we're not only getting a full 4 cards in March, we're getting 2 pay-per-views in March. So as if UFC 285 on March 4th wasn't enough for you, just a mere 2 weeks later, the UFC hops back across the pond over to London, and I believe the O2 Arena once again for UFC 286 taking place on March 18th, and the fight that they have just announced, as if, again, they needed more reason to get that card hyped up. One Jack Shore climbing back into the octagon, taking on Mr. Finland himself, Makwan Amir Khani, in his featherweight debut. Jack Shore moving up a weight class, and they're letting him do it in London, of all fucking places. So I am all for it. Mr. Finland has yet to put on a genuinely boring fight, win or lose, in my opinion. Jack Shore is quickly becoming a fan favorite. The fact that he is moving up a weight class and they are taking him to London to take on Mr. Finland to do it, I am intrigued, sir. Sign me up. As if the train needed any more gas. Holy fucking shit. April 8th, UFC 287, and a location as of now to be determined. Oh, are they pouring the fucking gas on this card? We got a trio of Pucker Your Asshole announcement fights. The first of which, Kelvin Gastelum getting what potentially could be his legitimate last chance at victory in the UFC banner, taking on the action man himself, Chris Curtis. That is a very interesting fucking fight, in my opinion. As if that wasn't enough to get your goose, they cranked the knob to 11 and announced that on UFC 287 as well will be none other than the BMF himself, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, stepping back into the ring against one Gilbert Durinho Burns. That is going to be a fucking spectacular matchup. The bad blood is almost indescribable, already overflowing on social media from both fucking sides. That one is going to be fucking great. And then for UFC 287, that piece de resistance, that chef's kiss, that Salt Bay sprinkle that didn't need, but they still gave it anyway. The run back, the rematch that everyone wants to see. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira 2. The rematch for the middleweight belt goes down in April. That card is already fucking ridiculous, and we're still in February.
Dude, you know, the more I thought about that once I saw that they did make the rematch for that, think about how many wrestlers in that division are licking their fucking chops. Because right now, the way it's been seeming is, unfortunately, Pereira is fucking Izzy's kryptonite, apparently. Now, that's not to say that this next fight's going to go the same, because shit may change. Izzy obviously had his number up until, well, that fucking nasty knee, but they haven't yet to put him against any fucking wrestler types. Think about let's just go with the giant fuck off Italian. He would completely maul him with wrestling and decimate him. But you know, here we are. Let's put him up against another striker, which I get it. Izzy held the belt for a long time. He deserves the immediate rematch. Perfectly all right with that. But I'm just saying, if it goes the way that I think it's going to go, and I hate to say it, I think this might be Izzy's one kryptonite. He can run the tables for a while, but eventually he gets caught. Unless he changes something, this could be his kryptonite. Alex could just be that fucking guy to him, because there's always one. When you're looking at any combat sport, everybody has their one kryptonite they just can't fucking beat. This might be it. I mean, because kickboxing, not beating him. Lost to him in the UFC. Just saying, if he loses again, it'll be a long time before we see him get another title shot, unless somebody else takes the title right away from Alex.
Yeah. No, I agree. This is definitely Alex's chance to legitimately close the book on the Izzy chapter as the undeniable, indisputable daddy of the situation. Like, there's no other alternative. If he runs the table out 4-0 here with 2 KOs, even if this one goes the distance, he runs it out at 4-0 with 2 knockouts of 4 victories. So,
and that could be the push that we see Izzy make the jump to fucking 205 then.
well, yeah.
Which
I think it would be. I think it would
Alex
be. I think
is
that's how
smart.
it
He'd
goes.
follow right behind him because he's got a frame for 205.
Yes, sir. I agree. That'll make that whole fucking challenge a whole different fucking ball game when you take that fucking frame and you add a legitimate 20 fucking pounds to it. So yeah, could make a whole lot of things real interesting looking forward to the summer, depending on how the beginning of April shakes out. Excuse me. But as if that April 8th wasn't good enough, just a week later, we have got another MMA defibrillator, if you will. The April 15th UFC Fight Night, as of yet again, location to be determined, most likely in the Apex. The main event has officially been signed, though, in the form of one Max Blessed Holloway taking on one Arnold All-In Allen. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about a great fucking main event for a fight night? Boy, you fucking got one there. I'm definitely there for that one for fucking sure. Oh yeah, we got 2 late last minute, literally just this afternoon announcements as well for that April 15th card I forgot about. The first one, coming fresh off of retiring Frankie Edgar, Chris Gutierrez now steps back into the octagon to take on Pedro Munoz. That's going to be a very interesting matchup, in my opinion. And then the other one that I know a lot of people have been very eagerly anticipating, the return of Ultimate Fighter Brady Heinstad stepping in against Dana Batgarel, a very interesting matchup as well. So that April 15th card getting a little juice to it. Maybe not quite as much as the pay-per-views have gotten, but still, with that fucking main event and a couple of juicy fucking warm-up fights to get him there, still a pretty fucking decent card shaping up, in my opinion, just the same. The April 22nd card, the following week, another fight night again, a to-be-determined location, most likely the Apex. A very, very interesting fight, in my opinion, shaping up here. Fresh off of the sacrificial lamb status the UFC put him in against Paddy Pimblett, Jared Gordon steps back into the octagon in what, in my opinion, is an even tougher fight for him in the form of one mean Bobby Green. That is going to be a fucking damn tough fight for Jared Gordon and a potential showcase for Bobby Green to just go out and fucking stunt. But either way, I'm fucking here for it. I want to fucking see how it plays out either way. I'm a sick fuck though. What can I say? That being said, moving on to May 5th, the official one on Prime Video 10, the debut on US soil of ONE FC's actual event taking place in the US for the first time. They've had some Road to ONE FC events take place here in the States, but they have yet to, until now, have an actual ONE FC event that ends in May, taking place in Colorado. They're bringing a card that is going to get everyone in the MMA world's attention. I promise you, regardless of what else they stack on top of it, the card will be headlined as of right now. Co-main eventing Stamp Fairtex versus Elise Anderson, one of the greatest ladies fucking matchups you will see on television, I fucking assure you, and headlined by
one of the most anticipated international fights that I can think of in the modern era. Demetrius Johnson versus Andre Moraes 3, the run back for the belt. They're a knee apiece. Literally, this settles the fucking rubber match to see who takes the taco, and I am fucking here for it. That card, I promise you as well, will be stacked by the time we actually get to it. But if you need no other reason, just the main and co-main event should be enough to get anyone listening to this to pay the fuck attention to that one on Prime 10 card. I'm telling you now, it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
I saw that today and was like, oh please,
One has
please
been
let nothing fuck
loading
that up.
some. One has been loading some cards lately.
Yeah, they have. And to bring that as their US soil debut card, Chatri knows what he's fucking doing. And then he's going to show up in Colorado and throw around $50,000 bonus checks as well. Yeah, just smack Dana White with his international cock all over that fucking arena. And it's going to be glorious. I'm telling you.
And they're going to learn. Anybody in the States is going to learn his whole fucking name. Chatri Sukumta. Oh,
yeah.
Get it.
Yeah, it's gonna be damn good. I'm telling you right fucking now. So we'll definitely talk more about that as we get a little closer to that card, I assure you. But that brings us to sort of the tail end of the news, the not necessarily fight announcement, but more of fight world related news per se. The first one that I don't think is necessarily a surprise, just a surprise in the way that it came about. We got official confirmation this week that Luke Rockhold is now officially a free agent, free and clear, released from the UFC and all match and post contracts as well. He is officially free to swim and do as he pleases. I don't believe this is actually the case, but he said Dana White took him off the leash to go take care of all these mouthy YouTubers interrupting the combat sports world, which, given is what we just talked about previously in this exact segment, is to what Dana White thinks of the combat sports world. I don't see that actually being the case, but, you know, a Rockhold going to do what a Rockhold going to do, as they say. So I wish him the best. Like I said, when we thought he officially retired before he unretired just to get released again, he did genuinely have a great impact on the sport of MMA. I'm not sure where the fuck he's going to go now, but so say la vie, happy trails, and tip of the cap to you.
Oh, I bet you he gets at least one or two calls from Scott Coker.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance given their past.
Yeah. But yeah, given the UFC's recent shady business dealings, and that's how I'm gonna leave it unless anything else. I highly doubt it was to shut up fucking YouTubers.
Yeah, I very much doubt that, but we'll see. But that being said, speaking of folks released free and clear from the UFC, we got official confirmation that taking place next month, February 10th, down in Rio de Janeiro via UFC Fight Pass, one Jose Aldo Jr. will be making his pro boxing debut against one Emmanuel Zambrano, a 0-3 professional boxer. Not the most glorious of opponents, but this is also Jose making his professional debut. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility to give him someone who's 0-3 as a professional for his debut fight. It's a 6-round match that will be taking place at 140 pounds. So I'm fucking here for it, man. He's free and clear of the UFC. Let the kid make some fucking money. Let him get some fucking experience under his belt and let him get rolling. We saw Anderson Silva do spectacular in boxing since he's been out of the world of MMA. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility by any stretch of the imagination for Jose to get into some fucking boxing groups here and make some good fucking money and have some fun.
I bet you he's going to make just as much, if not more, in this one boxing match than he did in
With
his
all the
last fight in the
sponsors and
UFC.
shit in Rio. Are you fucking kidding?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna blow those
Jose's
fucking numbers
about
out
to
of the
get
water.
paid, son.
I'm happy for him. That's fucking awesome. And to be honest, it's a lot less he's got to worry about. And everybody forgets Jose's not that fucking
He's
old.
fucking sharp, dude.
So
He's still young. He's got time to be a
he's got time to
badass.
become a
Art
really
Circle
good
still.
fucking boxer and make waves.
Yeah,
Now,
dude.
making the switch from MMA striking to boxing striking is two different things, but
Right.
I mean, most of those guys that have put their nose to the grindstone and become world champions, they know how to make those adjustments to get better. So,
Yeah.
and guaranteed he's got a fucking fire boxing coach down there. Guaranteed.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure Jose's got the fucking best of the best getting him in shape right now. Yeah, for damn sure. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how next weekend's gonna play out for Jose. I'm very fucking curious. I'm here for it though, man. I'm fucking here for it. So we will see how next weekend shakes loose. I'm sure we will have some results to talk about the following week as well. But we'll see. Moving on though to the other side of the world here, September 19th over in Poland for KSW 79 taking place. Oh, excuse me. Read that wrong. Excuse me. February 25th over in Poland for KSW 79, the unretiring of one Todd Duffy, former UFC 3, 2, and 1 heavyweight, having not fought since September of 19, where he caught the 1 in his 3-2-1 record. Now unretiring nearly 4 years later to come in to Poland and take on the heavyweight champion, Phil DeFries, straight off the bench. Look, hats off to Todd Duffy for thinking that he can just jump off the fucking couch and step in and just take the belt from somebody like Phil DeFries. I don't know how familiar the average person is, but I encourage you after the show, just throw his name in Google real quick. Watch the first video you see of his name. It'll give you an idea of what Todd Duffy is coming off of a almost 500 record 4 years ago, nearly, to step in and think he's just going to walk through. Oh my God, this should be funny to watch. Kind of sad, but still a little fun. Hats off to Todd for, again, one of these guys who's not that old, but took a lot of fucking road miles in his younger days to get to where he got to. So I don't think this unretirement is a good move, and I don't think this is going to go the way he thinks it's going to go, but it's going to be interesting to watch. I assure you that much. That being said, I'm still currently arguing with people over this on the interwebs, and I don't give a shit because I will continue to argue over it. But we got word last week that the UFC has officially signed its first ever NIL, name, image, likeness deal with a collegiate athlete in the form of one Bella Meir while she wrestles her way through the University of Iowa. On one hand, congratulations absolutely to Bella Meir. We have already seen her in her pro debut, I believe her follow-up, and I think she's booked for her third professional MMA match as of right now, while still going to and maintaining a GPA in college. And that is absolutely undeniably something to be acknowledged. Absolutely give that girl fucking credit for that.
Okay.
That being said, the fact that the UFC waited until someone whose namesake already carried such notoriety as Bella Meir, when this NIL agreement could have done legitimate, untold benefits for someone the likes of a Bo Nickel, of a Gable Stevenson, of a dozen other Nick Newell, maybe a dozen other great collegiate potential future MMA stars. But the UFC decided to wait until Frank Mir's daughter had already started the transition to pro MMA and got a couple wins under her belt to now use her as the poster child for the NIL agreement in the UFC. It gives me mixed fucking feelings, man. It really does. Like I said, on one hand, the acknowledgement of what she has done is not to be taken away. But the way the UFC is going about this makes me feel fucking dirty about it, man.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword there, because to be honest, she absolutely deserves an NIL.
Yes,
Without a
absolutely.
fucking shadow of a doubt. All of the hard work that she's put in to get where she's at, not only collegiately wrestling, but her pro MMA career already, she's put in the work to earn that kind of fucking recognition.
And maintaining a GPA while doing it.
Yeah, and yeah, working on the fucking college degree all at the same time. Fantastic. The UFC definitely dropped the ball because the NILs have been in place for, what is it? I think it's like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, might be.
Because I know initially it started in California and then it spread to the rest of the fucking US. And they absolutely dropped the ball because there are a ton of combat sport athletes in college wrestling. Go to anybody in fucking Iowa. There's a ton of great wrestlers that come out of Iowa. Ohio State. Fuck, they're all over. They could have picked any one of them. And I get part of the whole thing of it's Frank Mir's daughter. The name carries weight, but it is kind of disgusting that they go about it in that way versus going out and looking what college student is doing really well in the sport of wrestling. Like national champion, got another fucking year or two left in college. Those are the kind of guys you should be signing for. And I'm not saying Bellamere doesn't fucking deserve it, because she absolutely does. But there are plenty of the other ones out there, ones that are going out and doing trials for the Olympics and shit like that, that are still in college. Go fucking sign those guys as well. Don't just put one on the roster and go, oh yeah, we've got our one. No. And I think the other part of this is I think have that fucking double-edged sword thought about is I think they're grooming her so that way as soon as she is done with college and got probably 2 or 3 more fights under her belt, they're immediately going to give her a contract. She's not going to go through the Contender Series. She's just going to come straight in, partially on her daddy's name, but also on her own merits of the work she's put in. But I think a large part of that is daddy's name, which, don't get me wrong, not mad at, because Frank Mir, fucking absolute legend of the sport. But it is kind of a fucked up situation that they put themselves in to do it that way. They definitely could have done it better.
Yeah, a little weird how we got there. Is what I think. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, and I know again this is my fucking stupid brain hoping against hope, especially when it comes to the UFC. But what I actually hope is that Bellamere is actually kicking the door open for other collegiate athletes in combat sports areas, wrestling, fucking boxing, weightlifters. Fuck. There's plenty of guys who have a future in combat sports who could get an NIL deal and would make the difference in just the attention that they get, the opportunities that they get going forward before they get to the UFC level, which would be mutually beneficial for the UFC as well. So, like I said, there were already plenty of other, in my opinion, just as, if not more deserving people at the collegiate level that could have used NIL deals before here, but that's not to take away from what Bella has done. I'm hoping that she's literally just the fucking trend setter, and the UFC realizes through her how much more they could be reaching into the collegiate level. So we'll see. Here's to fingers fucking crossed and hoping for fucking Bella to really just kick ass and take names and really just do the damn thing. So That being said, again, it's always a little hard for me to try and defend or put stock in to UFC because, as we often unfortunately have to say, logic be damned, UFC going to do what UFC is going to do. We got confirmation this afternoon. UFC has officially signed a 3-year deal replacing body armor as the official hydration source liquid of the UFC. For the next 3 years, the corners will no longer be referred to as corners, but prime hydration recovery zones of red and blue via the Prime Hydration Company, owned by founders Logan Paul and KSI.
There's nothing further that needs to be said about this trash.
At least they didn't sign him to an actual UFC contract. That's all I gotta say about it. But I think it's ridiculous. Another clown act. Everything that we've seen over the past year, starting from the James Krause situation, Dana White slapping his wife at the start of this year, it's just like downhill slope. Not going good.
So with that being said, that's what I've got for news and recent events this week to end it on a high note here. Do either of you gentlemen have anything interesting for this week that I might have glazed over or missed in my fucking runnings here?
I think the most interesting thing I saw this week, to be quite honest, was how PFL decided that they were gonna use all of the UFC's used trash like 4 weeks in a row to make
all in one little cluster there. I saw that. There,
I
to be
did
fair,
get a good kick out of it.
there is some very interesting matchups there, but in reality, all of those matchups would have been much more fun 2 to 3 years ago in the UFC.
Yeah. Like the only one that's worth their fucking weight is one that the UFC accidentally let go because they're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Case in point in making this stupid business deal.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, good on the PFL for pulling trash out of the ocean and keeping it clean. Good job, guys.
For sure. Oh, well, that being said, that's all we've got for news and recent events this particular week. That being said, as if that wasn't enough of a demonstration of it, sometimes some of us old heads that have been watching MMA for a fortnight and beyond can get a little set in our ways when we get locked into the type of fights we like and what we like to watch, and lose sight of the forest for the trees, as it were. Luckily though, we just so happen to know some of the younger folk to help keep our old asses in touch with the up and coming youth and revitalization of the combat sports world. Our young friend here, Christian, does a little segment that helps us old bucks stay in touch. We like to refer to as slows, cans, and contenders. So if you would be so kind, sir.
All righty. So I get it kicked off. You guys touched on the Bellemere thing. I definitely appreciated that the UFC did that. Understand where you guys are coming from, but give you my youthful point of view on it myself. The only reason I don't have the same problem with it, I get where you guys are coming from. It would have been nice for somebody like a Gable Stevenson or a Bo Nickel to get that, but I feel like they wouldn't have even been considered a couple years ago when they were in college because they were on the fence about what they wanted to do. They weren't necessarily committed to going to mixed martial arts, right? They both wanted to like try to go into the Olympic wrestling, which Gable, he won an Olympic medal. You know, Bo didn't make the Olympic team, and it was Bo not really making the Olympic team that drove him into MMA. He's like, okay, let me take this path. I feel like that, you know, this could be successful for me, and it
Well,
has. And I feel like it's going to continue to be. But that's the only reason I don't have the same problem, right? Because I feel like not only Bella, it has the name, yeah, that is part of that's probably the biggest part of it. But she's shown the commitment to fight. Like you guys mentioned, she's already fought professionally a few times and is planning on continuing to do so while going to college and wrestling in college. So serious commitment in that avenue, I feel like, and the name. It just made perfect sense, right? So for the UFC to not give her a deal would be stupid.
all right.
But you guys are correct, and they should look towards other athletes. But I would like to see other athletes showing clear commitment, like Bella, that they want to go in that avenue of not necessarily combat sports in general, but the UFC. Why would the UFC? It's like the WWE.
Right.
They're going to give an NIL deal to somebody that wants to go and be in the WWE, like a wrestler, you know, a collegiate wrestler that then wants to go to the WWE. They don't want to give an NIL deal to somebody that wants to go to the UFC. So it's the same, in my opinion, for the UFC, and that's the only thing. So I
All
agree
right.
with where you guys come from, but that's my youthful opinion. That I feel like had the UFC really thought about it with Bo or Gable, they wouldn't have given them the deal because they weren't really committed, right?
I think
Hope to
they
see
will.
them give more deals to people in the future, but I feel like that's what the UFC is going to want, right? Is just that commitment level that they know we're going to help you out while you go through college, and then you're going to come to us.
Okay. Along the lines that you're thinking, this is where I'm at with this. Because there's a counterpoint to this that I think needs to be said here. When you're in high school and you're doing a sport, how do you pick which college you're gonna go play at? They fucking recruit you.
Yeah.
The UFC going, hey, NIL deals where we're gonna pay you a lot of fucking money. That's a recruitment tactic.
Yeah, and that's
So
where
yes,
I
they
agree
can
with
go
a lot of
after
what you
those.
guys say. The UFC does things in a fucked up way, and that's part of their problem. Is they're
I'm
still in that
just
old school way of thinking too, and they
I'm
need to
just saying
grow and evolve.
if they're
They
worried about a
should do that. You're
if they're
right,
worried about a
but they
commitment
should
issue,
go out themselves, look for prospects more, be willing to try to recruit people to come. You're right,
I'm
but
just
I
saying
do
if it's a
feel like that's
commitment
just
issue
their
they're worried about,
mentality.
how else do
The
you get
UFC
somebody to
is like
commit?
we're God, we're kings, so we need you to bow down and
No,
commit to us before
you
we
do
commit to
like
you. That's
the
just
UFC does with all of their problems.
yeah,
You sling a
that's the
lot
big
of
problem
fucking
with the
money at it, and eventually it'll go
UFC.
away. It's kind of like fucking way back in the 80s when there was the AIDS pandemic. The only people that you seen not having a problem with were able to sling a lot of fucking money at it. The UFC uses that same concept to a fucking T. So I'm just
Yeah,
saying
it'd be
they can
nice. Yeah, it'd
recruit a
be
lot
nice
of
to see
people
it
going
switched
like
up a
this.
bit. But yeah, I just
NIL
wanted to
deal.
throw that out there. But I just feel that I know that how UFC has that God complex. So that's just where I feel like that's why Bella's the start, and that's why they've started that way. Not just the name, but she's shown that huge commitment to not just going to fighting, but she's got wanted to go to UFC. That's the whole reason she's fighting because of her dad, all that shit. But to move on a little bit, right? We got some fights this weekend. Me and Vince will at the end will give our pick for our canon contender, for this week's card. I wanted to touch on the little fact that we've got some good prospects. The road to the UFC final. You got some decent fights. It's hard to pronounce some of their names. You got Sung Guk Choi versus Hyun Sung Park. A flyweight fight. This one's looking exciting. Both of these kids, tons of finishes. Uh, I think Choi only has the single loss, and Park is 7-0. We got Jiyoung Kim. No, that wrong piece of the nose. Okay, is Jiyoung Lee. There's two Jiyongs on this card. All those Korean names. is so he's a guy. Jiyoung Lee is facing Zha Yi in the featherweight division. This is another one of those UFC road to the final fights. You got Jeka Sarah versus Ashul Jubli in the lightweight division. And you got Toshiyami Kazama versus Rinya Nakamura in the bantamweight. And I think Nakamura is the biggest prospect I'm looking forward to. He's already a star in Japan. I've talked about it on a previous contender segment. I guess his father helped start Shoto in Japan early on in the 90s, helped the workings of Pride begin. And so apparently, Renya's father helped pave the way for MMA in Japan early on. So he is already somewhat of a superstar. He's been in the fighting world his entire life. Been fighting ever since he's a kid, similar to the Raul Rosas Jr. kid, coming up in the UFC. He's really young and looking like a good prospect. He's got the legendary name and he's a huge star in Japan already. So we'll see if that translates over to our country, obviously. But just wanted to shine that light. Like, it'd be nice if this was in South Korea just for these 4 fights alone. Having these road to the UFC finals fights. They happened in Dubai, I think a few of them. So a couple of the finalists are from the Middle East, and the majority of them are from, the Pacific region, from Japan or Korea. And it's just kind of shitty that the UFC didn't just stick it out, because they probably would have lost a little money on it, not being able to have the Korean Zombie being the main event, having to try to fly out Sergey Spivak and Derek Lewis and get them to Korea and stuff like that. Live events are always better, and at the end, it just would have been better for American fans. Every American fan would have been more okay with trying to stay up and watch these fights, like we touched on earlier, that late night aspect, if it's in South Korea, because we understand that everybody else around the world, when we normally have a pay-per-view here in America, they have to stay up ridiculous times or get up way early to watch the fights themselves. So we could deal with it once, but then they moved it back to America. So it's like the American feeling then is, why the hell do we have to stay up now? It's back here at home. Like, you're not doing us any favors. People around the world are going to still be watching at crazy times. Now we got to watch it at crazy time too. That's just stupid. Takes away from these young kids. So hopefully any hardcore fans watch the prelims, watch the first few fights. A lot of these kids are actually really good. I know one of them, Zha Yi. He's 21-3 already as a professional. A huge amount of experience. So he's the one. He's the underdog in the fight, but he's got a huge amount of experience. That one really blew me away too. But Rinya Nakamura, I'm looking forward to him. And we've got the local shit. We've got Saturday night local fights here in Kansas City. Synergy Fight Night 5 going down. The only reason I wanted to mention it, we got a good few prospects on this card in the amateur side of things. Ray Sweet Baby Hayes, the 9-0 amateur lightweight here in Missouri, the number 1 ranked lightweight here in Missouri, is moving up a weight class, going up to welterweight, 170, to take on the number 1 ranked welterweight here in Missouri, Mason Pillow. And they're going at it for the AMI belt. So you can't lie. That's exciting. A 9-0 against a 6-0 top prospect in the welterweight division, and the top prospect lightweight stepping up to take him on. So if Ray Hayes gets this win, let's see him step up to the pros. Let's see how this prospect really grow here in the state of Missouri. That's an exciting fight I'm looking forward to. And another local guy, Sam Coronado. Me and Vince saw him back in October at the end of the year when we went to the FAC card. He's going to be fighting another guy we just saw back in December at the end of the year, the FAC card after October. He's fighting Jordan Krifka, undefeated 4-0 amateur here out of Missouri as well. Jordan Krifka's taking on Sam Coronado. So 2 really exciting amateur bouts going on here locally in Kansas City this weekend. Had to give the local shout out. So for this week, my can is Adam Fuggett. I know his name's really pronounced Fugit, but I love saying Fuggett. He's only had the one fight in the UFC. Didn't look the worst he could have looked. He got finished in the third round. Had 4 finishes before that loss going into the UFC. So he's got some potential, but I just don't fully see it. And then he's going against Yusaku Kinoshita. So I'm giving him the one mention here for a potential prospect, a contender to look out for. Kinoshita, only loss in his entire career was to a damn disqualification, and they call it a fence grab. And it's really only because he was grabbing the fence so that he could stomp the hell out of the dude's face that he was fighting. Still love that shit. If anybody's ever seen the clip or you've seen the fight itself, it's fantastic. This guy's undefeated, who finished every single fight. The only damn loss on his record is a fence grab. You needed to grab that fence to get extra leverage to stomp the shit out of a dude's face. I love this guy. I'm okay with that. I'm accepting. I don't even count it as a loss. He's undefeated in my eyes. Absolutely love this guy. 22 years old, huge Japanese prospect. Can't wait to see him. And then you got another Japanese prospect on this card. Another contender, Tatsuro Taira. Already been in the UFC a couple times. Debuted against Carlos Candelario. Just fought against CJ Vergara last year. Looked great in both fights. Absolutely dominant. Can't wait to see him again this weekend. So we'll throw it to you. You give us your can and contender pick here, buddy.
All right. Well, my can pick is going to be Ji Yeon Kim. She's fighting Andy Berm, or Bohm, however you pronounce that one.
Boom.
I believe it's Berm. All right.
Yeah, you think it's Berm because it's German.
Because of the umlaut,
yeah.
It's
Yeah, she's German, so
but she's had 9 fights in the UFC and only won 3 of them. So I think she might be on her way out the door. She's not doing too good. my contenders, well, one contender I had in mind was as well as he said, Yusaku Kinoshita.
Yeah, Kinoshita.
Kinoshita. Whoops.
It's hard to pronounce names.
I am excited to see him fight. I'm also excited to see Duho Choi, though, because of how much hype is surrounding him, and his nickname is hilarious.
Yeah, the Korean Superboy. He's the Superman now. It's been 5 years since he fought.
Yeah, he's 31 years old.
What
He's
shit,
still
no.
called the Superboy.
2016. Fuck, I'm still losing. It's 7 years, right? Not
Both
5,
of them.
7 years. Jesus, fuck. That's why they're giving him an absolute fucking cane. Shit.
I'm excited for both of them.
Well, I'm glad you gave some fucking picks. Good to hear from you. Well, I mean, that's about it for us. Unless you guys got any specific contender or can you'd love to throw out to finish her off.
What I had to go walk over I'm just about out of drink here, so I had to go get another bottle of water. Who was the kid you said you said there was like a South Korean Raul Rosas Jr.?
Oh. That is Rinya Nakamura.
Uh-huh.
And he's Japanese, not South Korean. So yeah, Rinya Nakamura. I was comparing him to Raul Rosas Jr. because of the fact he's literally lived his entire life in the world of fighting. Because his dad helped start up Shoto in Japan, helped start up Pride in Japan. So the kid's literally been in the fighting world his entire life. Apparently, his dad was a huge figure in the MMA beginnings through the 90s and on. So this kid's already a superstar in Japan. I was saying, we'll see if it translates here, obviously, in America. Be nice, though, if the time slot wasn't shit.
Right. No, I had to step away, and I just heard something about being another Raul Rosas Jr., and I just figured it was a kid.
Yeah, comparing him because he's really young, huge talent, huge potential, and then, you know, father being in the fighting, training him through fighting, so he's been in fighting his whole life.
You said the Rosas thing. I just assumed that he was like saying he was 18. He was really like.
No, I like him better than Rosas, right? I don't think Nakamura's got that same assholey, cocky personality, and I also feel like Nakamura has a real chance of being a better contender than Rosas. So
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Much appreciated there. So that will bring us to the next segment here that we can't legally start without giving its own independent disclaimer first. Before we get to it, Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form endorse or support the I'm No Joe podcast.
yeah.
Yet. That being said, they do offer a service where you can make a free account and then make picks on fights just like we do here on this show, and then compete head to head with other people making picks on those same fights. We have made a group on Tapology.com of just such a like-minded group of individuals. It's called ImNoBookie, all one word together, or Group 965, however you need to search it. Excuse me. The group is open to the public. You are more than welcome to come join the group, put your picks head to head, literally against ours, and then we go back over those picks on a little segment here we like to refer to as Tapology with TJ. You would be so kind, sir.
All right, we're back after a week off. Better than having 4 weeks off because I was a little rusty when we came back after 4 weeks. So we're gonna start right on Tapology for this last card, the Teixeira and Hill, fucking UFC 283. Starting right at the tippy top here, Brother Christian gets the W this week, a whopping 685. What's crazy here, you guys should get a good kick out of it. The point line between first and second place is almost exactly the same as between last and almost dead last. It's about 65 to 75 points. So with that, with that being said, shout out to the meter here for barely squeaking out, not getting the trip over your dick award, which that rolls into, drum roll please, the trip over your dick award of the week goes out to River Tour, aka my neighbor Don. Don, you tripped over your dick during a great paid per view. What the fuck were you doing? I was literally sitting in the same room with you for a little while. Don't know what happened, man. Pull it together for this next week. But yeah,
They'll see the award in the visual form. For those of you who are only listening, you unfortunately will miss out on the fact that we did have a great new graphic roll across the screen for the Trip Over Your Own Dick award going forward.
I'm surprised how I've started this year. The first two cards of the year, I'm up towards the top. It's like I'm doing good with picks, so if I keep going, good.
Yeah, and had everything been in line the last week when we have this, I would have been the first one to get that wonderful nice new graphic, because I had a shit first week back of the new year. It was not the way I wanted to come in, especially not after the season I had last season. Oof. But moving on from that, you do have opportunities to go ahead and make picks for this upcoming week, so don't trip over your dick. Well, let's go right into the odds for this week, and I'm going to start backwards this week. I'm going to start from the top down, because from the top down, there is a lot of 50-50 coin flicks. So the main event, LewisVsSpivac, they've got it a minus 195, or excuse me, a plus 195 is Derek Lewis, the underdog, and Spivak is a minus 230 favorite. And that's coming off the BetMGM and DraftKings. They're pretty fucking close. They're only about 20 points spread on those. But I'm looking at both of them at the same time here. But most everything is like that until you get down to Adam Fugit and Yusaka Kinoshita. I fucking can't fucking say names. But that's where we start to get some of these bigger spreads. That one's still not that big. Fugit is a plus 270 underdog, and Kinoshita is a minus 325 favorite. And we get a couple more that are just basic coin flips there. And you get to the Rinya Nakamura and Toshimi Kazama. You've got Kazama coming in at a plus 350 underdog. Nakamura coming in as a minus 435 favorite. Oh, you might think we're done here because we're getting right towards the end of where the prelims would start. Get a couple more coin flips. Shit gets wild at the opening of the fucking UFC card. Absolutely batshit crazy. One of the wildest spreads we've seen in a while. That's the Jesus Santos Aguilar and the Tatsuro Taira fight. Now, BetMGM and DraftKings are a good bit different on this. However, they're still fucking wide margined. They're very close on what they think Jesus Santos Aguilar is going to come in as a plus 750 to a plus 775 underdog. They're saying Tatsuro is going to come in as a between minus 1150 and minus 1400 favorite. And this is an opening card fucking.
What the fuck are we not caring about this fight? Apparently Vegas is.
I'm going to say keep your eyes on that fight because even across the board on the new site I've been looking at for odds, they've got Caesars, BetRiver, FanDuel, Unibet, Betway, 5D, and Ref, and all of them have that gigantic fucking margin. But the two I'm looking at the most are BetMGM and DraftKings because those are the ones people are most going to be familiar with. So the wide ass odds on that, absolutely fucking ridiculous. You want to make an upset pick and make some fucking money, that's the one to do it on. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it is the opening prelim fight, and generally those prelim fights can go
groundwork is there
sideways. It's been laid before.
Yeah, groundwork is laid to make some money there potentially. Fuck.
Yeah, that's your big one to make some fucking make some good money. Now, I do want to say the Derek Lewis and Sergey Spivak fight, they've got some great fight props on there for over under rounds and shit like that. Like if you go down there and look at it, the Lewis wins by decision is a plus 1600. In other words, if it goes to decision, they don't think he fucking wins. So there's some fun shit to look at. If you're wanting to go look at these odds yourself, not endorsed by this site at all, nor do they do anything for us. But if you go out to bestfightodds.com, it'll give you every one of those. They're a fantastic site, and now that I found them, they will probably be the sole ones I'll be using since it gives you everybody's current odds. And they do the fights from top to bottom or bottom to top, depending on whether you want to read from the bottom up. So everything is in order in the way that the fights are going to come on the card. So if you're ever in question of what order the fight's going to be because you don't have access to the UFC site or the UFC site hasn't updated, they'll be right there. So, yeah. Opening fight, watch that crazy fucking bet. If you're going to make a bet, that's the fight to do it on because that's some wild fucking odds.
Very nice. Very nice. Much appreciated, sir. So, with that being said, that will bring us to the point in the show where the hee-hees and the ha-has cease to be, where the funny, still fun, but not quite as funny. The point in the show where things go from being friendly to a little more serious. This is the point where if you're only listening in audio form, you will not know. But if you're watching us either live on YouTube here on Thursday night or catching this on replay on YouTube, you will know by the terrifying graphic that rolls across the screen that this is the point in the show where we take on a little competitive angle in a segment we like to call The Pit. This is where things cease to be informative and start to be a little more serial. And tonight is no different, but tonight is special in that this has been one of our single most requested matchups since we started doing the pit. A house divided cannot stand, and tonight 2 men enter, 1 man leave, Thunderdome style. Only one can go home with the W. And tonight we find out who that man is. Mano y mano, brother on brother. We pit one against the other here on the show. Thank you, gentlemen, both Christian and Vinny, we are putting you into the pit. Are you gentlemen ready for the fun?
Oh yeah, I've been here before. This guy's the new one. This is gonna be fun.
Oh,
All right.
I'm
So-
excited.
Seeing as how Christian is fairly experienced in the pit here, we are going to have him go first so that he can sort of lay the groundwork and give Vin a little example of how things are done here. So, Christian, the first question goes to you, sir. And you know how we like to start things off around here. On every card we talk about in the UFC, there is always one fight that if you have not got everyone in the house with you in front of the television when this fight starts, you have no choice but to involuntarily yell, "Hey, Ma, get in here!" That fight that just isn't getting the love it deserves, but everyone should be paying attention to. So for you, sir, what fight on this weekend's card is that?
All right. So I got one that I know what I'm going to talk about. Upside. I did give the boy some homework. He watched some previous podcasts. He knows what the fuck we're doing here. So, went through the rundown, made him do a little homework. Didn't want this to be a complete shit show. Hopefully, this will be entertaining. But my, moment to get somebody hyped up. It's a casual or your mother, somebody that ain't too interested in fights, never seen a fight. I want some Iron Turtle action. I'm going Jian Young Park versus Dennis Tululian. I love Tululian's last name. That's just a fun fucking name to say as well. But I think this is going to be an exciting ass fight. This is what Tululian's third fight in the UFC. He's won one, he's lost one. Looks like an all right fighter. He's kind of back and forth with his record. You know what you'd call that journeyman. But he seems like a tough guy from what I've seen. Park is damn sure a tough guy, but he's looked damn good. 5-2 in the UFC. He's 5-1 in his last 6. I'm looking to see. I mean, it's not in Korea. It'd be a lot nicer if it was. But I'm still looking to see some Iron Turtle go out there and put it on. I think Tululian's tough, so I think we're going to see something a lot of people aren't expecting. And this might be one of those interesting fights. Somebody that's never seen a fight, not into MMA. Everybody loves getting an ass whooping, or seeing it, not getting it, seeing it. There we go. We're live. We mix up some words. But everybody loves seeing a nice ass whooping. The Glover Teixeira a couple weeks ago. Everybody loves seeing some shit like that. Somebody with some nice heart, your face is torn off, but you're still like, let's fucking go, baby. Never gonna forget that. That was a great moment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can absolutely get behind that. I love me some fucking Iron Turtle. I've been riding that fucking train since he first got in. He's a bad motherfucker. I don't give a damn what anybody says. You go watch an Iron Turtle fight and tell me it ain't entertaining as fuck. So I can absolutely get behind that one for damn sure. So that will bring us over to you here, Vindog. On every card, there is always inevitably one that just doesn't necessarily get the rub or the shine that it necessarily deserves. The fight that if everyone in your house isn't sitting next to you when it starts, you just have to yell, "Hey, Mom!" and get everybody within earshot plastered in front of the TV so they can't miss the excitement that's about to unfold. So for you, sir, which fight is that on this weekend's upcoming card?
Well, in my opinion, I think the fight that would be the most exciting on that would be Yusaku Kinoshita against Adam Fugit, because Fugit's only got one loss in the UFC, so I feel like he's got something to prove. And of course, Kinoshita is who he is, and Kinoshita, it's gonna be a good one.
It is going to be a good fight.
I do truly believe it.
But the only one loss, it was his fucking debut. He's only had the one.
Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. I get it. There is absolutely undeniably some potential there for shit to get a little crazy. What do you think, Golf T? Very good, interesting points on both sides here.
You know, I like the Fugit idea and the Kinoshita idea. However, I'm fucking 100% on that Iron Turtle fucking train as well. There's something about that motherfucker that it makes you want to watch.
I agree. There's just something about the Iron Turtle for damn sure, but at the same time, I almost feel like that's low hanging fruit at this point because we do sing the Iron Turtle's praises so much. And I will say, going for a guy in Fugget who's behind the eight ball, so to speak, but still potentially as exciting as he is. I think that is definitely going to make the difference for me in this one here. So I think we are going to give the opening round 1 point here to Vinny.
You can't lie though. That was fucking hilarious. That's the new on him, right? It's saying that Fugget's only lost the one fight in the UFC, but he's only had the one fight in the
Yeah,
UFC.
but we've seen plenty of people come in and eat shit in their debut and still be exciting as fuck. So
yeah, he won the
I
round.
do absolutely give credit there for damn sure. Yeah.
Damn right.
Good for you.
You're a different guy. He'll do better.
Right. So that'll bring us into round 2 here. In round 2, we flip things around, as it were. So, Vinny, you will be getting this question first. And we also flip the perpetual coin, as it were, the metaphorical coin that we look at. So if every card has one fight that just doesn't get the shine it deserves, that means that inevitably one fight on every card just gets more hype than it does deserve, gets all the shine, and it has no reason to it. That's generally the one fight that we say would be the one where it's time for you to go to the concession stand, the it's all go to the movies, or let's all go to the lobby fight, if you were. The make your popcorn, take your leak, go on, get you a fat dab, load it up, and not pay attention to the fights going on. What one fight for you is just the completely regrettably booked fight, the use it as your intermission match?
Well, easily overhyped is Derek Lewis and Sergey Spivak. Could easily be a Waller slap fight, as you guys say most of the time. The other heavyweight fight on the card, is it
Marcin Tybura.
Marcin Tybura and Ivanov?
Yep, we'll go Ivanov.
That also, yeah, I want that to be a good fight, but that also could be just over hyped and being so close to the main card. Co-main. Derek Lewis is in good shape. It has promising looks, but it turned into last time he fought Cyril Gahn. That wasn't bad, right? It wasn't that his last fight.
No,
That wasn't his last fight.
that was
It was before that.
2021.
I'm always 2 fights before.
Yeah,
His
Tuivasa.
last fight was the Russian.
Wow.
Yeah, Mr. Drago.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, no, I get it. I agree. This is literally a last minute piecemeal fucking main event, and it's already one that we were potentially going to see and weren't that excited about the first time around. So yeah, I definitely can see how the main event would definitely be not as exciting as it could have fucking been or would have been had we got the original card lineup for sure. But that brings us over to the other side of the ring, as it were here. Christian, to you, what one fight on this card is the one that you are going to use to get up and take a leak and make sure your popcorn is fresh and your dabs are readily roastable?
I think Vincent made it a little easy for me on this one. He is a little bit true. The main event can definitely be a bit overhyped, but I'm excited for Derek Lewis. He seems recommitted. He's in amazing shape. The fight I absolutely don't care about, and I'm definitely taking a dab, taking a leak, whatever I got to do. Jeong Kim versus Mandy Baum. It's a ladies' fight, and it's always good to have those on an MMA card. I'll give them the respect for that. But Jeong Kim, 4-fight losing streak. Mandy Baum, 2 fights in the UFC so far, lost both of them. I don't see where the excitement in this is at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass on it. I completely do not mind missing every minute of this fight. I feel like whoever wins just signs their ticket to getting one more fight in the UFC. The other one's probably going to get cut. It's probably going to be a really boring fight that goes to the decision.
Yeah, no, I can absolutely agree on both sides here. Neither one of those matchups are terribly interesting. I think in this situation, though, I agree with Christian a little bit more that Mandy Baum. I love Jeon Kim, but she just has yet to really show any of that potential, in my opinion. What do you think, Alti?
Yeah, and I'm not sure Vinny picked up on the whole low-hanging fruit thing. We know that can end up in a walrus slap fight in that heavyweight fight. So yeah, I'm on board with that. And there's something about that Jeon Kim that just says that it's not worth watching because she's probably punching her ticket out.
Quite literally, yeah. No, I agree. Excuse me. Is unexciting as that main event. I am fairly confident you're correct is going to be. I think in this situation we're definitely all leaning a little more towards that ladies matchup. So we are going to go ahead and give the point for round 2 to the brother Christian over here. That puts us tied at 1 apiece heading into 3. So that'll bring things back around, as it were, here. Christian to lead things off in round 3, as we like to do around here. Granted, it is not, I will say, the most potentially exciting fight. It is not, had we even seen this matchup take place in South Korea, potentially the most exciting fight. What it is, on the other hand, is the co-main event Saturday evening, technically Sunday morning by the time we get to this fucking matchup, in the form of Dawoon Jung, the light heavyweight South Korean monster, taking on Devin Clark, Mr. Hot and Cold himself. So my question, sir, how does this unconventional matchup of unconventional matchups in the form of our co-main actually shake loose Saturday evening, Sunday morning?
All right, so to start off, like a man that our brother Meter has made cry and act like a baby many times, like Alexander K. Lee would like to say, this isn't the co-main event, this is the penultimate fight. I always love that you're able to twist up AK Lee's, panties in a little wad. Somebody normally
Happy
says
birthday, AK.
So throw that out there. And then obviously I'm using his little quote. It's a penultimate fight. It's not a co-main event. Even if it was in South Korea, it'd be good for Da Jung, but it still wouldn't make it any more interesting. I like Devin Clark. Like, he seems like a good dude. He's not the worst fighter in the world, but he is literally a journeyman. He's a middle of the pack fighter. He's 7-7 in the UFC. Got a dead even record. His dad is the best thing, right? And it's in the apex. So that, to me, that's the best part of this fight. Dawoon Jung has good knockout power and ability, and you're going to hear Devin Clark's dad giving him shit the entire fight. Get off your ass, boy! Get the fuck up! You get in there and beat his ass! Quit being a bitch! You're in the apex. You're going to hear that clear as day, and it's going to fucking make that fight just a little bit better. But it's not a comeback. It's not worthy of it. If Devin Clark winds up winning, he's just signing his ticket to stay in the UFC. Dawoon Jung, I think it was an early stoppage last July when he fought Dustin Jacoby. It is what it is. He's got the potential to bounce back easily. He's 4-1-1 in the UFC. He was looking good on his way up so far. So that's what I see. Dawoon Jung going out there putting it on Devin Clark. And just getting another win under his belt. Maybe Devin Clark gets that fire under his ass from hearing Daddy rip into him again and gets some takedowns and wears on Jung to somehow get a decision victory from just the smother. We'll see. It's either going to be the boring fight with that little interest of a grown black man giving his son shit on live TV, or you're going to see a potential knockout. Not something I would ever put in the co-main. But if we get a knockout, I'll be happy.
I can definitely understand that. I am partially inclined to agree. I would say with your assumption here, but there are many different ways that this could go. So this brings us back over proverbially here to Vinny. Inevitably, every card ends with two fights, the co-main event and the main event. And while we aren't at the end yet, this is, as your partner in crime there said, the penultimate matchup of the evening here. The co-main event, Dawoon Jung versus Devin Clark. How do you see this one playing out, sir?
Now, I agree with most of what things he said. I don't know either of these two fighters, even through all the research, even through looking up just a little bit about them.
Well, what do you think's going to
I,
happen? What's your opinion on
had it
what's
been
gonna...
in South Korea, Dawoon Jung, there's not going to be any travel there. And so, let's see, Devin Clark get the fire under his ass and take Dawoon Jung down many times and get a decision victory.
I like
Yeah, I would say that's definitely a possibility here. And of the smarter ways Devin could win that fight, that would probably be at the top of that fucking list for damn sure, because a fucking giant South Korean is not an everyday occurrence, and Dawoon Jung is an odd occurrence in an odd occurrence kind of situation. So stepping in front of him to eat one of those big fucking shots is probably not the smartest thing he can do. And Devin Clark is definitely a wrestle fucking type of dude to try and hang on to your damn leg. I can absolutely see that for sure. What do you think, Joffrey?
Vinny won me over with the I don't know either one of these fighters. Because to be honest, I don't want to know either one of these fighters. But I do. Fuck.
Yeah, no, I can absolutely see that as well.
That made my fucking day.
No, I think you got a point there. I think the fact that we have to talk about this as the co-main event, I think that we're gonna call that the swaying factor, and we're gonna go ahead and give round 3 point to Vin Dog the Booty Hog here.
What?
Wait, what?
All right, so that means round 4. We flip things around. Vinny, you get this one first here. The end of every UFC card runs through the marquee matchup, the name that they put on the posters, the one that they put across the front of the stadium. In this particular situation, it was originally the Korean, but the zombie unfortunately got hurt. So when they had to scratch that one off and put another one up, we got Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak again for some reason. So with this being our weird, probably fucking 2:00 in the morning slap together, why are we still doing this on Korea time? Main event for the evening, Saturday night. And Derek and Sergey step into that closed cage. How do you think it plays out, sir?
I think it plays out like any Derek Lewis fight, and we will probably want it to start off really fast and crazy, but it won't start off like that, and it will. In round two, maybe we'll get a few. Maybe we'll get a few of those skirmishes that skirmishes that he's known for. Did they initially delay the fight because of injury?
No, it was COVID.
No, it was COVID.
Derek got COVID.
Why did they reschedule this fight?
Derek Lewis ended up puking. I think it was right
We're
before
friendly.
the. It was either right before the weigh-ins or right after the weigh-ins. Yeah, Derek
Why
Lewis
did he
puked his
reschedule
brains
this
out.
fight?
They called it a
It's
COVID,
going to turn out
non-COVID.
better than it would have the first time.
Right.
I want to see a knockout, but it's like it's never gonna happen. And the last few Derek Lewis fights. Let's get a knockout, Derek Lewis.
Yep.
He's slimmed down. He's real serious now.
Yeah.
He's being funnier in press conferences. Let's go.
I like it. I like it. I can damn sure see it. Yeah, if you've been following Derek Lewis's social media, he is legitimately probably in the best shape of his entire professional career right now. So I don't know if that Russian literally beat the fire back into his ass or he just did not want to look like an idiot on another fucking main event spot. But whatever it was, it's definitely got Derek Lewis in fucking shape now. So I think there's a damn good chance we get a Derek Lewis KO for sure. But that'll bring us back over to the other side of the octagon, as it were, here. So, Christian, one match left on the card, one fight left to see play out. How do you see it going? Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak, the main event we didn't ask for and we got anyway. What do we end it with?
All right. Well, I think we're going to see Derek Lewis knock out a Sergey. Technicality, he lost by knockout to one. He's not going to do it a second time. That last fight was an awful stoppage. After what we saw Sergey Pavlovich do to Tai Tuivasa at the end of the year, we know even more that was a horrible stoppage because of what Sergey Pavlovich is capable of doing to a man's face in such a short amount of time. That didn't happen to Derek Lewis. And he was able to stand up, conscious, immediately try to question the fight. Dan Miragliotta hopefully won't be reffing this one, but Sergey Spivak as well, nowhere near the striker that Pavlovich is, or even Tai Tuivasa is. Striking's not really his game. He's more of that grappler kind of guy. Wants to get you down, and then he'll get the ground and pound. And with what you said to bring me in there, Meter, Derek Lewis is in the best shape of his life. Dude looks incredible. Absolutely committed himself. He looks like he actually cares now. He's worked so hard to slim himself down. He's got to have better cardio and a better gas tank. And we know he still says he hates going the whole 25 minutes. He's not going to want to last the fight. I just feel like this is going to give him that advantage with somebody like Spivak who wants to grapple. Derek Lewis being in that shape, he's going to be able to defend the takedowns, keep it standing, and he holds the fucking record in the UFC, not just for heavyweight, but in general. Holds the record in the UFC for the most knockouts. I think he's just going to add to it. This ain't the most exciting fight in the world. Obviously, it would have been nicer to see Korean Zombie. It sucks that he got hurt, and hopefully we get to see him later this year. But it would still be nice to see Derek Lewis bounce back. I'd rather see Derek Lewis bounce back than take another tough loss. And I don't care much for Sergey Spivak. There's nothing against him. It's not like I hate Russians. Just don't see much in this kid, and you're in the heavyweight division. I want to see some striking and I want to see some knockouts. I don't want to see the heavyweights giving each other hugs. Go do jujitsu for that Oh, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that as well. I admit I was pretty high on Sergey Spivak when he first came into the UFC because he seemed like a heavyweight with a lot of potential. And then for a dude named the Polar Bear, he's been pretty fucking hot and cold. So it's been real hard to get behind him for damn sure.
Yeah, he
But
honestly had a tough time against Augusto Sakai. And that was my biggest thing as to what is kind of giving me the bar for him right now. Yeah, he did what he did against one of the he who shall not be names, right? But then fight after that, Augusto Sakai, he had a tough time. Once he got him down to the ground, he controlled him, he got the ground and pound. It's just we've seen a lot of guys do it really well in the heavyweight division. He doesn't even seem to do that quite so well. That's just my only problem with Spivac. His best strength doesn't seem as strong as some other guys we've seen in the heavyweight division.
You know, for a second I thought it was his chin, but that's gone after the last 2 victory fights.
right. Luckily for him, he doesn't have much to worry about in this matchup.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it's gonna be interesting, but even as a main event, it's not as exciting as it could have been, I'd say. But I think with that one there, especially citing the fact that we were originally supposed to get the zombie for this one, we are going to have to go ahead and give the point for round 4 here to the brother Christian. So for those of you who are keeping along at home and those of you who can math, that means we are officially all tied up 2-2, which means we go on to the round 5 sudden death point winner take all question. And that, as you know, is never related to the actual card we are talking about this particular evening. Now, tonight, though, before we get into round 5 and all of its potential glory, I would be remiss as an MMA fan and half-assed YouTube journalist if I did not mention that preceding this weekend's UFC card that we have promptly and thoroughly just shit all over, and it's just desserts. We will be able to see over on CBS and then I believe subsequently on Showtime, Bellator 290 this weekend, the 3-fight main card as a tribute on the road to retirement for one Fedor, the Last Emperor Emelianenko. Not only is Fedor's final matchup a potential revenge rematch against Ryan Bader for the heavyweight belt in Bellator, which could be a whole kinds of fun. It is legitimately going to be a genuine combat sports world event, to such an extent that they are legitimately bringing in a crowd of the following to watch the event and subsequent retirement of Fedor: Frank Shamrock, Chuck Liddell, Quentin Rampage Jackson, Matt Hughes, Dan Henderson, Henzo and Hoyce Gracie, Randy Couture, Mark Coleman, Josh Barnett, and then some fucking nobody, Chaili Sanoni. I don't know who the fuck that guy is, but he's going to be there as well. But this is such a huge fucking event. They are legitimately bringing the who's who in combat sports out to watch it happen. So if you do not want to wait until the ridiculously late card that the UFC is putting on this weekend, you don't have to. Bellator does have a very interesting overall card, even though the main card's only 3 fights, which is kind of weird, but the prelim card adjusted for it. It's an interesting card overall to watch Saturday, and I would be remiss as a fight fan if I didn't mention the end of the Last Emperor's run.
You got Lorenz Larkin on there. You got fucking what? The other 2 main event fights are like
Gracie's back in action.
hey, mom, get in here for both of them, Saba Hamasi and Brendan Ward. And then I'm
Yeah.
excited. Probably one of the most exciting fights for the weekend, Johnny Evelyn versus Anatoly.
Evelyn versus
I'm
Anatoly,
really
yeah.
excited for that fight.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be.
think Evelyn is something serious. I think he's going to defend the belt, but Tokov is like not something to bat an eye to. In my
No,
opinion. It's going to
he's
be
his
an exciting
most
fight.
legitimate grappling competition, in my opinion, to date so far. Yeah, so Bellator is definitely given a run for its motherfucking money, for damn sure. But that being said, round 5 around here, we make sure is not anything to do with the cards that we are talking about now. Since we have got such a special matchup here, we have got a special round 5 to boot. Now, Christian, you got to kick things off here and show Vinny a little bit about how we go here. So we are going to give Vinny the special choice here in round 5. Vinny, you can either pull from the wall of post-it notes of fate for the final question that you and Christian will both have to answer, or you can throw it all out the window and introduce a true chaos factor and go for what's behind door number 2 and take the mystery question.
I'll do the post-it wall
Post-it notes of fate. All right. So,
Damn. I was looking forward to what was behind door number 2 because I know what it was.
I do too, and it would have been interesting, but
like,
that's why we gave him the choice. So, post-it notes of fate. I need a number 1 through 6 to determine your choice, sir.
4.
4 it is. 2, 3. Number 4. So, this will be a good one as well. So, round 5. Vinny, what is the best weight class?
Based on like all the fighters, your opinion.
Well, popular opinion would say lightweight, but it's been lacking lately. It's slowly building back as it is long. Right now, I want to say it's featherweight because of Volk and how popular he got with his dominance. You would say it's better. Is it better than Bantam? Bantamweight was on top last year. Featherweight. I like featherweight the most because it's just repeats of Holloway. Crap. Damn it! Remind me who's the champion bantamweight.
Oh, Japan.
Ah, crap! No.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to go with featherweight. Yeah.
All right, men's featherweight then. I can definitely see that. There's
a lot of good prospects. You know, we
there's
got Max and fucking Arnold Allen coming.
Yeah, there's a lot to go on. And then, like he said, we just announced earlier, Max versus Arnold coming up in just, 6 weeks or so from now.
Brian's training again, so hopefully we'll see Ortega back this year.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot to love at featherweight for goddamn sure. So I can't be mad at that answer at all, for fuck all. So, Christian, that puts the ball back in your proverbial court here, sir. The question for round 5 and the decision winner take all of this episode of The Pit. What is the best weight class?
Well, I mean, obviously, like Vincent touched on to start, I feel like lightweight is still hard to beat. You've got with Islam beating Charles, you got interesting stuff going on. This fight next weekend will really make it even more interesting. If Volkanovski wins that light heavyweight belt, or not light heavy, god damn it, lightweight belt, becomes double champ, the lightweight division is a whole hell of a lot more interesting because there's so many fun fights that Volk can have at lightweight. You think Volk versus Gaethje, Volk versus Poirier, Volk versus Connor, maybe if Connor can come back, get a win. I mean, there's so many huge names, right? I mean, we could even see Max Holloway go back up to that division. A touch on the flyweight division. It's, with Figueiredo moving on, Moreno winning the title again, it's great. Those are some exciting ones. But I would say the most exciting to me now with what's happened, Izzy losing, is middleweight. I kind of feel like the middleweight has the most future potential. So I want to say going into this year, what we're going to see, it's going to be the best division. We're getting the rematch with Pereira and Izzy. If Pereira, like TJ earlier in the podcast said, actually has Izzy's number, like a lot of us think he does, then we're going to get Robert Whitaker back up in the picture, the title shot. You got Bo Nickel as an amazing prospect in this division. You also got Roman Dolidze coming in there this year. You got Dricus du Plessis. You got Chris Curtis even. If he has a great showing against Kelvin Gastelum, that's a good name under his belt. That's going to work his way up. I know a lot of people hate him to death as a person, but Sean Strickland's fun to watch as a fighter. You still got Jared Cannon here. It's an exciting-ass division. And who knows what Izzy's going to do if he takes another loss. If he stays in the division himself, if he stays in middleweight and continues to fight, doesn't retire, I think that's more exciting than him being the champion because of the matchups they could potentially give him to try to build his way back up after losing to Pereira. There's just a lot of fun there. So for me, that's at least with this year, right? This year I'm going that. Lightweight's just given number one, but that's the low-hanging fruit. So I touch on flyweight, but I'm going to say middleweight.
Very interesting. I am absolutely inclined to agree as well. I do have to say, honestly, and this may be unpopular opinion, I'm really not that excited about lightweight right now. Honestly, I won't say the whole.
It's
The majority, 2/3 of the top 15 right now are guys who've been there for over 3 years and haven't moved more than a point or two.
Yeah, Dustin refuses to fight down.
We got Dustin, Tony,
Chandler's
fucking
not
Chandler.
fighting down.
Yeah, Hooker is still clinging on, but he's not really making any fucking progress anywhere. Like there's still
Jalen Turner has a good showing against Dan Hooker.
So
who the hell's Jalen Turner getting after that?
Yeah, there's definitely new blood coming in, but I won't go so far as to say that lightweight's the hottest right now. There's room for it, but
it was just low hanging fruit. I did not want to make that my pick. Some people would say bantamweight, but it's probably the worst right now. It's just so clogged.
That's a shit show and a half right now, and it's only getting worse.
I like both of your guys' answers. Both of those are good, solid choices. However, I probably have the most hated fucking choice right now. And that's heavyweight. To see what happens when John Jones comes back. Does he have his mind right? Because the top of that division is starting to be a bunch of fucking killers. Cyril Gane, Sergey Pavlovich, fucking Curtis Blades has been getting really shit on lately. And you've got a bunch of Tom Aspinall once he comes back from that fucked up surgery there. And Volkov's been doing all right lately. And you've got some bigger guys down towards the bottom that are starting to make names for themselves, like that Alexander Romanov. He's been looking pretty fucking solid as well. So there's something about seeing what happens when you inject John Jones into a division, especially if he's got his fucking head on straight, because I mean, you look at his tail end of his run in fucking the light heavyweight division, and he was just playing with his food there. He wasn't really fucking trying anymore, having to try. That division, you have to fucking try, because otherwise you will go to sleep. Those motherfuckers hit hard, and he's coming back to face arguably one of the most fucking well-rounded heavyweights that we've seen in years in Cyril Gahn. So that's going to tell us a lot about how that division goes. So I'm pretty excited to see where that goes, especially knowing that Sergey Pavlovich has been on a fucking absolute tear, and I would love to see him fight John Jones. I would absolutely love that fight.
No shit. No, I agree. I agree. And I will say both good answers. I am probably odd man out on all the odd men out here. I would say if I had to pick my favorite or the best weight class right now, in my opinion, it's welterweight, because of the shakeups that are happening, not to mention the fact that despite previous fuck ups that might have shaken 279 up, Khamzat's coming back at 170.
Yeah, it's the same as like what I was saying with middleweight. If Leon defends against Kamaru, then everything's extremely fucking
Everything
exciting.
is real interesting. Yeah,
I'm even
real
excited about
fucking
light
good.
heavyweight. There's a lot to be excited about right now.
Yeah,
right?
real-
Like if
real
Yuri
similar
comes back this
situation.
year, I really want to see Jamal Hill versus Yuri Perash.
Yeah, I would be interested in that as well. Not to mention, I hear I can't take away from Jamal's fucking response video. That's what she said. That's what she said. Like that was absolute golf clap. That was
Where you
fucking
at, though?
beautiful response. Yeah. Like, that was fucking good. I will give credit where credit is due there. That was good. But I've got to say here, I think for in terms of the round, in terms of points here, I think we have got to go for the overall winner in this being Christian. There's just, I love featherweight. I love everything that's going on at featherweight. I love the fucking future of featherweight, regardless of whether Volk beats fucking Islam and stays at 55, or beats him and comes back down, or loses and comes back down. I don't fucking care. Either way, there's a ton going on at 45 and it's fun as shit. But there's something to be said about all the fucking insane possibilities for that 185-pound division. And
I
that's
had to throw that
before
one
you
out there
add-
because of my bold prediction at the start of the year, man. Fucking, he's gonna be champ at the end of
Yeah.
the year. I'm holding to it until I'm proven wrong. When the end of the year comes around and Bo Nickel's not the champion, I'll admit to it. But until then, I'm gonna still say it.
I agree. I think he
The
has
UFC
everything
is
in
gonna
his
be the
pocket
only
to
thing
get
that's
there.
gonna fuck me on that prediction. Not strapping the fucking boots and taking him to the damn moon, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think he's got all the skills. The only thing that could keep him from doing it is if they won't give him the fucking push that he clearly needs. And with Pereira now getting ready to make his first title defense in under 5 fights in the UFC, there is no fucking reason they can't light that rocket ship on fucking his back and just let Bo head for the fucking stars, dude. He will carry the whole fucking company with him. We all know that he will. So we will absolutely have to see how that goes. But that means that the points, the round, and subsequently the match goes to the brother Christian. Well played, sir. Thank both of you gentlemen for your time this evening. It was a great fucking match, and we appreciate your time. That being said, though, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So if you enjoy what we get up to around here, you can catch us on pretty much all platforms, but we do it live Thursday night, 9:30-ish Central Standard Time, youtube.com/@ I'm No Joe. It's fucking weird, but that's how they do it, not me. So blame it on them. If you don't catch us live, the replay does stay live, so you can always go back and watch the video. But if not, you can also catch the all audio version the week after it airs live here on YouTube over on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe to pick up on your podcast consumption platform of choice. It is there for you when you want it, ready to go. That being said, make sure you are subscribed or tuned in and all your notifications are on whatever platform you're picking this up on. If you want to support us around here, the best way to do that, patreon.com/ImNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to behind the scenes, unaired, and literally unairable content, things too hot for OnlyFans. I can't tell you what it is, too hot. But for that $1, you get in there, as well as your name as a thank you on the end of every single broadcast on this channel. That means the I'm No Joe podcasts. That means the streams during the events with the Tapology updates, everything that goes down on this channel, you get a thank you for, because we appreciate you. That being said, this is not the end. When you think it is, it's not, because after the show finishes up Thursday nights here on YouTube, it carries on Friday mornings over on Spreaker.com/Slowbank and Contemplate. Those boys right there have their own podcast tomorrow and every Friday coming out, talking about punchy, kicky contemplations and all good things. So you can get them over there, as well as Instagram.com/Slowbank420 and the Hashbull Brothers. Both links down in the description as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you. And the shit doesn't stop there. Once you get into the next fucking week, Brother Golf T hosts his own show around the same time, about 9:30 Wednesday nights on his own channel, Golf T Vapes. They mix up some fucking, recipes, have fun, vape out, chill. If you ever want to learn some recipes, if you're into the vapes yourself, you just want to have a good time, make sure you tune in and check out on Wednesday nights. And then also just give a shout out what the brother was able to do this past week, raising tons of fucking money and gifting a ton of fucking bikes to children in need. Tons of people came out and helped. The fact that Golf T held the stream for such a great cause, and the cause worked out, tons of fucking bikes are going to go to kids that probably wouldn't be able to have one themselves. It's a good fucking thing. So I wanted to shout that out too. The brother does some really awesome fucking shit for his community and to better the world, not just give you amazing recipes for vapes. Make sure you fucking support him and check him out.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. Now, if you want more of the meter's face here, let's see if we can get this right without fucking it up this week. Down in the description below, you can go to Linktree/TheMeterDoesManyThings, and it will have the links for all of the things that Meter does, to include the I'm No Joe podcast. So again, that is Linktree/TheMeterDoesManyThings to get all of your meter needs for the entirety of your week.
Absolutely. Much appreciated, gentlemen. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate that. And most of all, that's the one thing we can't get back and buy. So that being said, that is all we have got for this particular evening. We are going to wrap that up. That being said, remember, until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless you really thought Mar-a-Lago was a secure location, dumbass.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times